In order to explain where you are. I mean, come on. Okay, so this week's coach webinar is on engaging parents and mentors. It is a cross-program webinar, so it's intended for both First Lego League and First Tech Challenge. One of the big reasons that First is successful is, I think, because it's a mentor-based program. We want to bring in community experts in addition to our teachers to help provide coaching and training and all the great things that you see on this slide. You know, there's really great research that shows how those mentor relationships lead to success, whether it's in a professional career later on, which includes rookie coaches being mentored by veteran coaches, or it's an adult teen mentor relationship. But it's just a valuable thing to find time to set up and to nurture along the way. These bullets are taken directly from the FTC Mentor Manual, which has a couple pages in it that I think are relevant cross-program. Again, it's worth, if you're a First Lego League coach, Annie, taking a look at that, and I've got a link to it later in the presentation. But it's good to remember that mentors aren't necessarily people that have special skills, but they're people that are willing to work with the team and learn alongside with the team. That said, it's really nice when you can pull in a mentor that's bringing some kind of expertise. So it doesn't have to be somebody that's with the team start to finish. So when you go out and you're recruiting mentors, you're not necessarily looking for somebody who's going to volunteer to be at practice or in class 2 to 3 times a week. You might be looking for somebody who can come to one team meeting and offer feedback or advice on a specific task. And again, you're serving in that role too. Those bullets kind of touch on all of the things that our coaches are doing every practice. Finding mentors tends to be, I think, the biggest holdup because it takes that extra step of reaching out, and especially for our rural teams, you might not see those people and know immediately who to look for. Like we talked to the team, there was an FTC team presentation on Friday. They were like, well, all our mentors come from John Deere. You don't have a John Deere out in Hooper Bay. And so finding mentors might be a little more complicated, but there are a lot of places. So I think the key thing to remember is that it's not all or nothing. You don't have to recruit somebody who's going to know everything about the program, be able to be there all the time. You can be really creative in your search for mentors. And I said, think smart. So if you're going to invest time in recruiting mentors, if people are familiar with SMART objectives, specific, measurable, oh man, the acronym is going to leave me right now because it's the end of the day. But the idea is to break things down into smaller things that are a little bit more achievable. That's what the A is, that you know you're going to be able to get. And so with that, sit down with your team. Think about, prioritize. Are there certain tasks that they're having a really hard time with? Are there certain tasks that they're a lot more interested in, or professions they're more interested in? Are there local resources that you already know are out there? A parent that has some background. You can make a long list and reach out and see what sort of mentors you come up with. And you don't have to limit yourself to your community. There are such amazing online resources out there, and you can do some cold calling, especially if you kind of sell yourselves. Like, we are an Alaska robotics team. These are elementary to high school students looking for your support and engagement. It's great, Annie, for First Lego League, if you're getting feedback on your team's project for City Shaper, if they can send some pictures of the kids working, if they've got a prototype of anything, send that along instead of just a form letter that says like, hi, we're so-and-so team and we're looking for feedback. If you can make it a little more personal, you're much more likely to get a response. And then also use your network. So feel free, if you know that you need some industry support in a specific area, if you're looking for someone to help with a logo, if you're looking for someone who's going to look on foundation design for building on permafrost, like you can have specific questions like that. Or if you're doing FTC and you need business planning support or marketing support, or you just want somebody to help the kids understand finance, which, man, what a great skill to have outside of robotics. I can help you with that. Elaine, who's done some of the coach training, has great business contacts in Anchorage for that. Use your networks to reach out. You never know who's going to be able to make that connection for you. And then I'd say, remember that it's about more than robots. So yeah, you're finding mentors that are going to be able to help build a specific skill, but kind of like that thing with finding somebody who's going to help your team with your budget. Have somebody from one of the local banks come in and do a personal finance lesson and help the kids build budgets, knowing that that's such a valuable life skill for them. So look for those relationships and those opportunities to teach beyond the team, beyond worrying about who you can kind of check off in your engineering notebook. It really is about expanding their circles and their skills. Here is my quick brainstorm when I was putting this together of who you could reach out to. So there's the kind of obvious of mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, programmers, but IT techs, whoever the IT person is in your school district, they might be a great resource for helping you out with projects. If you've got a construction manager in town, any of the construction companies, not only do they have some sort of mechanical expertise, but they are also great project managers. So they can talk to your team about timelines and what they have to do if they're looking at building a house. How do they set up all their deadlines and work with that to keep a customer happy and finish a house or a building or a road, whatever project they're working with, on time. School board members might give great feedback. Again, they can talk about budget. They can talk about presentation style and how your team is communicating information. Anybody, your journalists, researchers, there's just a lot of different people that you can reach out to help with different aspects of what you're doing. And again, you never know who that person's going to go or what sort of background they might have had. So use your personal networks, use your schools. If your school has a school business partnership, that's also a great place to start. Those businesses are there and ready to help you. Don't expect when you do that outreach to automatically get mentors that are going to work well with your students or your team. I know that's probably not new information for anybody, but teaching is actually hard to do and a skill that people build over time. And a lot of professionals haven't ever worked on it. There are great training resources out there. Be considerate of who you're asking to help and how much time you're asking them to invest with your team. If you're sending off a diagram of a robot and just looking for written feedback, that person doesn't need to go through a background check. They don't really need training because of that small interaction. But if you are having somebody come to practices a couple times, you might send along some video training resources. You might send the FTC manual. And if they're coming and joining your team in a way that they're building personal relationships with your students, you probably want to have them go through that youth protection program training and understand some of the safety expectations for working with youth. So these are two great resources that are out there. The FTC Mentor Manual, we can take a quick look at it here. Like I said, this is a great resource cross-program. I don't understand why we don't have a resource like this for First LEGO League. These couple of intro pages give great definitions just for working with First so that those mentors can kind of understand what the kids are talking about. And then it also goes through some of the teaching philosophy of you're not doing the work for the kids. So if you're a mechanical engineer and you're coming in and you're teaching the kids how to build a sturdier robot, you're giving them feedback, you're modeling solutions, but you're going to have to train some of those mentors to keep their hands off the robot. I've told the story a lot of times, but we had a mentor that we literally made wear mittens at practice so that he couldn't go in and just change the robot for the kids. And they'll take over pretty quickly if you let them. So better to step in early and set some clear boundaries. But they are also really welcome to share examples from real world of how they make things more stable, sturdy, of what a clean program looks like versus messy programming with notes everywhere and inconsistent ways of writing things out. And they can give really direct feedback on parts of the program and model with the, work with the kids to show them how it could and should be done. So I do recommend this mentor manual, again, for all programs, and you can go through and kind of pick and choose, copy and paste different sections of it that are going to work for different mentors. I'm back here on the YPP training page. This again is on the First Inspires webpage. If you haven't been to this page, I highly recommend it. There's training modules for you as a coach, for your kids that you can watch to do safety meetings. Sarah, there's probably some great resources for your class to sit down and watch together here. Especially if you have teen mentors or younger mentors coming in to work with your students. There's some training modules and videos that are designed specifically for teen mentors. The videos are great to walk through, and then they have this list of training resources that are in Schoology, which if you haven't created an account, it's pretty easy to go through and do, and just follow these directions to access these different training modules and to link up your mentors to have them go through that too. Again, I would only do this with mentors that are going to be spending more time with the kids. So that's my quick run through for mentors. Does anybody have questions? Or anybody already know that you're looking for mentors to help your teams with a certain thing that I might be able to help with? Okay, nothing yet. Then I will go on to engaging parents. Like I said, with the mentors, you just never know until you ask. So no matter where you are, I always recommend having a parent meeting at the beginning of the season, if you can in the middle of the season, and then again right before your tournament. You don't know who they're going to know. If you can have an email list so that when you do have, like, you need technical support, start with your parents and ask if they know anybody or they might have a background. I am always surprised at who is a really strong tinkerer or who has figured out how, even writing HTML, that's a good programming start, and they might be able to come and help students problem solve, getting information off GitHub or debugging a program. You never know who's going to be able to help. They can also, even if they don't have expertise, come in and help when you're broken up into small groups with group management. They can help with fundraising plans. If you just need parents to take kids out to help sell raffle tickets or look for places where the kids could sell raffle tickets. Similar to the mentors, the more specific projects that you can come up for parents to just say, I'll take that little piece, instead of throwing out a general, like, who's willing to help with the team? If you can say, who's willing to set up 3 tables at the local convenience store, grocery store, for us to sell raffle tickets, you're much more likely to get a parent to take on that specific task than just a general call for support. They're helpful with transportation. You can have one parent who's just in charge of setting up carpooling options, whether that's just to practice or to Saturday events if you have them, but just say, you don't have to do it all, but if you can just take on getting all the parents to talk about how kids are getting to and from this event, it'll save you one task. And the same goes with supplies. Can they get snack to and from practice? Can they get t-shirts made? If you're doing, you need project boards, just the trifold poster boards. Send something out to parents and see who can pick one up and bring it in. Also, there's a lot of people that have home shops, it's a safety issue. But you can maybe work that out with your team if they need access to any equipment, or if like we found a guy here who has a CNC mill in town and is willing to make parts for teams. So just ask, you never know what somebody has in their garage at home. And then finally, even people that don't immediately see themselves working with the team, ask them to come and help out as tournament volunteers, whether they're helping your team or they're supporting the larger event. That in the same way that it hooks kids and gets them coming back for future years, being involved in the tournament hooks parents and hooks mentors to want to come back in the future. It's a really exciting place where they get to see that buy-in from all the kids. And I've seen that people that come and take part in the tournament almost always come back and engage at a deeper level the next year. So you might have a parent that just comes and is willing to be a judge or a cure at the tournament this December, and then all of a sudden next year they want to come and really help support you as a mentor for the team. So try and get them involved, specifically around the tournaments. That is a crazy day for coaches. So as you wind up doing some more intensive prep right before the tournament, parents are great for mock judging. They don't need to have a technical background. This is true for FTC and for FLL. There are sample judging questions available in the FLL team meeting guide, in the FTC resources. You can have them ref matches just to add some of that pressure and actually be timing. Things always seem to go differently when there's somebody else in the room. So invite your parents in to help create some of that tournament atmosphere and get your teams ready. They can also just give simple public speaking feedback, whether or not the team's holding their posture. And again, it's just nice for them to hear it from somebody other than their coach. They can help prep pit supplies. You could just get a parent and say, here's some pictures from what the pits looked like in previous years. Work with a couple of the kids to set something up for our team. You can assign them admin tasks. Like maybe if you have a parent that's able to come in as the administrator for your team, if it's not in through the school district, they can help make sure that all your youth paperwork is done, and they can reach out to other parents to make sure that that's happening. They can help as information comes in on the tournament, communicate that back out to other parents. They could even help do your team registration. They can help prep and pack food. Tournaments are really long days, and so you not only need lunch, but you need a lot of snacks along the way, so making sure that there's some healthy options for kids. And they can help get your shirts, team gear, costumes, whatever it is that you want to have together. At the event, kind of in the same vein as everything else I've said, the more prep you do to give them specific roles, I think the more helpful you'll find parents during the day. So maybe one parent is just in charge of watching the table or creating a schedule to watch the pit table when you guys are off at different events. Schedule some parents to be in charge so you can take a little break somewhere in the day. You can have them be in charge of putting together some games for the kids. Maybe they set up a scavenger hunt where you need them to go interview the kids to go off and interview teams. Bring board games, bring cards, set things like that up for the kids so that they stay busy during downtime. But it's one less thing that you have to prepare as coach, and it's a great way to get parents there and working with the kids too. And same thing, if you're distracted, just ask one parent to say, hey, I need you to take video of the judging sessions and take photos of the team throughout the day. And then finally, it's really great to celebrate your season with a party after the tournament. But I know a lot of coaches that never get to it because you're just so tired at the end of the season. It's another great place where you can ask parents for support and say, you know, the tournament's this day, I'm gonna be in charge this day, but it would be really great if you could just host this party, whether it's getting pizza, having little one-page things that the kids can sign for each other to celebrate the end of the season, but something to set up a party at the end. And then my final slide in my rapid presentation here is just after doing all this work to go through and recruit teachers, parents, and recruit mentors, don't forget to say thank you, and don't forget to have your kids say thank you. So a picture from the tournament with a little scribble from each team member saying thank you. A parent inviting all of the parents to that post-tournament party to say thank you to them. Just make sure that it's in your plan, and that you're also training the kids to always come back and do that and really show their appreciation for the adults that are getting involved in the program and coming out to support their team. That is it. That is my 15 minutes on engaging parents and mentors. So now I will open it up. Does anybody have questions?
Hi, Becca. Melania
Hi.
here. Sorry, I don't have you. um, this is not about the engaging the parents, but the question about registration. I have a parent here, a parent or a parent one. I think two of them doesn't have an email.
Yep.
So, what should I do?
If you go into the youth registration, there's an option in there. Actually, I just had it open to download youth team member paperwork. And there's just paper forms that they can fill out and just leave the email section of it blank.
So, to register the kid that is under 18,
Here. Let me see if I can do this. So in here, are you able to see my dashboard now?
Yeah.
When you click into your team, it's so slow. So you're in team contacts and you're going to manage contacts. If you scroll down in here to youth members, you can download youth team member paperwork.
Okay.
As a paper option instead of doing online. And this the parents can fill out instead of doing the online. We strongly prefer online when possible, but if you have parents that don't have emails, this is totally fine. And just leave the email section here blank, just fill in the parent name.
Yeah, because this is what makes it confusing to me. So since in order for the kid to register, they have to be more than 18 and up, and they need the consent from the parent.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we bypass that?
So this form is to get the parent consent. So you can't bypass. There's no way for them to participate without parent consent. But you can use this paper form to get parent consent instead of having them fill anything out online.
Okay, so I should hold this one, and during the event, I'm gonna submit that.
Yep. And so there's a spot when you print your team roster. It'll print with any of the online forms that have come through. It'll show us who's finished their consent and release forms online, and then have the names of people that haven't. And you just need to have this paper copy for any of those names that don't have the online consent form.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Other questions? And general questions are great. Anything about the season, events?
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, once we have this paper form filled out, do we send it somewhere or just hold it?
So they have to be turned in at any event that you participate in. And so if you're doing the virtual event, you'll just email me. You can email me a scanned copy or send me the originals.
Perfect. That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay. I got two. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, since you're talking about just a general question, because
Yeah.
the team is talking about, because we'll be traveling, we'll be flying twice just to go Anchorage. They were thinking about how are we gonna um secure our
Yeah.
road well. If there's any idea, that would be perfect, or stuff that may or may not be allowed in Alaska Airlines, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I didn't look it up ahead of time, but I can send some samples of boxes that teams have built to ship their robots in. It is an extra step. I know some teams that have just gotten totes and kind of packed them full of packing bubbles and getting one the right size. I don't know anybody that's gotten one to under 50 pounds, although we'll send that out to the group and ask. So you do just have to budget for that extra charge. Sometimes people are pretty forgiving when you tell them what exactly it is you're transporting. So I would go early and see what you can get with that. But yeah, you do want to build a box that you can set your robot in that's pretty well secured, but then just ship it as an extra bag when you travel into Anchorage.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca,
Yeah.
we're getting ready to board, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Okay. Have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Oh, and Wendy's here too. Okay. Any other questions? Sarah, I will say for you, even just coming into Anchorage, even putting the robots in a car, usually recommend building one of those boxes. So I might ask some of the teams that have built a couple of them to send in designs. And it's something, if you have a shop class at your school, I know of people that have had the shop class build them a robot box. I put some wheels on the bottom. It's easy to roll around the competition. You'll see pictures of them having their robots placed on top of them. It's just a handy thing to have, and something people often don't think about their first season. And then all of a sudden it's a week before the tournament and you want one.
Yeah, I think I have a couple of them. However, the one
Yeah.
is definitely kind of broken. There's just leftover random things that I have. So I have a lot of things to at least get started.
Good.
What it is not guaranteeable, but I have what you would need to start. However, I don't have it for the number of kids I have in class, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Well, you're not planning on bringing a whole class into any events anyway.
I don't even know if we're going to get travel anywhere, honestly, this year, because it's been so crazy.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to, we haven't even moved to our official classroom.
Even if it's planning to bring a couple kids to watch.
Yeah.
If they haven't seen the tournament before, it'll change their motivation for next year.
Yeah, for sure. It's just trying to even conceive that when I still have to set up another classroom is kind of.
I also just can't imagine trying to do FTC in a portable.
And well, currently we're in a little room in the middle of the school, so at least I'll have two classrooms right next door to each other and not have to walk across the school to get there, because now we have to spend our time walking back and forth because I can't move the computer cart all the way down there. And even then, that's only Chromebooks. Right now we've got these slower than slow laptops to use it, so at least we'll have desktops when we move out there. I'll be hardwired in and they'll be much faster.
Isn't it ironic that your resources seem to be more frustrating in the big city than they were in the village?
Well, it would have been nice if we could have just stayed at the school we were at. It was all set up for it. And then, and for them to throw as many kids at me as they did, thank you. I really appreciate it. I think I have 20. Well, I did go back up to 26. I think I have 25 now again, because one is going to homeschool. Be surprised if I see him back again. But yes, it's very frustrating. And luckily, I think we're supposed to be moving somewhere soon. We're working with Lego right now because I don't have the other supplies, nor do I want to get stuff out and start.
And the Lego's a great place for the high school kids to start, though.
Unfortunately, they're just getting really old and the batteries aren't holding charges. They're NXTs, and so.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. They're older ones. So they kind of work not very well, but they're at least fun to mess with.
It might, if the batteries are running out too, it's not bad to buy a couple packs of AA's and.
Correct. And some of it is just software not matching up. The computers we have, sometimes on one class, they took the whole class period to load up the computer. So I'm not sure where they're putting 14 desktop computers at in the portable, as well as all of our stuff, but I guess we'll find out.
All right. When are you supposed to move?
Well, I had asked because I was like, okay, we're getting tons of boxes for robotics. And so I guess they asked, and it's like a week or week and a half.
Okay.
Supposed to be. So we'll see what happens. Maybe next week, maybe the following week. It's kind of a good time. It's the end of the quarter. We'll be finishing up with Lego. I kind of gave them 2 weeks to mess around with it and see what they can do, and we'll move on.
Okay.
But yes, it's been a messy school year for sure. Yeah. And now we have to deal with the F problem. Now we have too many students who have Fs, so let's add that to our workload. Our principal seems to think that we can motivate the students to not fail, so there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
But yep, that's where I'm at. So we'll see how far I get this year. If nothing else, at least the kids are enjoying themselves and like the class. So
good. So you'll have too many kids again next year.
Well, hopefully I'll have 2 sections maybe, or 3 sections. And then I can spend most of my day doing robotics and forget all the other crap.
Awesome.
Because kids wouldn't be failing robotics. If they are, they're in the wrong class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions out there?
Yeah, Becca,
Yep.
this is the question. I just took a picture of it. I'm not familiar with this.
Oh, you should not have that. Put that away. That is called a Samantha. Where did you find that?
YouTube.
So that's the old communication module. Before we started using phones, that was the Wi-Fi connection between the controllers and the robot. Yeah, share that picture with other people and it'll make some FTC veterans laugh, cry, cringe.
I think I might have actually saw one of those in the classroom, to be honest.
Oh. Yeah, just like jump on it and break it apart.
Okay, I'll tell the kids next time I see it again.
It'll be a good take apart lesson.
I also read some comments about the controller hub.
Mm-hmm.
Was it been resolved? Because some of them would easily die out. They have when they pilot the control hub. Was thinking, is it better to have the control hub or just leave it the cell phone?
So we are recommending that you get the control hub. We are a pilot program, so I do think there's always the chance that we're going to discover issues along the way. But in terms of like plug and play and getting up and running, it's a lot faster. And then the hope is that it's going to just reduce the number of connections on your robot and the space that electronics are taking up. And so it should reduce the number of drops that your team could potentially have during a match, especially once they start banging into other robots. And I think we have enough people in the state that are using them that will, if something comes up where there really is a big problem with them, we'll all deal with it together. You won't be alone in figuring it out. The teams that I've talked to so far that have been practicing with them and are up and running, everybody's really happy, in Alaska at least.
Okay, because we're still trying to get some of the materials. Fingers crossed. I hope they will come on time.
I know.
It's like, oh my God. So
the good thing to remember for you guys too, you're coming in for the Anchorage Qualifier on December 7th, right?
Yeah, is it December 6th, 7th or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, December 6th, 7th.
Mhm.
I guess is in Wasilla, not in Anchorage.
Mhm.
Just show up. And if you find out you need a part 2-3 weeks, even 1 week before you go to Anchorage, have it shipped we can have it shipped directly to Wasilla High School, or we can have it shipped to Dave in Anchorage. Have it at the event, and you'll have teams there to help you put in whatever you need to put in, instead of trying to get it shipped out to the village and having it not show up in time. You'll be amazed at what the kids get done at the event. And they can basically put a drivetrain and a bunch of parts in a box, show up at the event, and they'll get something scoring working by the time they leave.
Oh,
So whatever state you're in when you get to December 5th, just pack up and go, and we'll figure it out.
okay, perfect. So is it still true that we can still, even if we don't win during the qualifier, we can still go to the state on
Yep.
February? Okay.
Yes. We are up slightly over the number of teams that we thought would register, but we always have some attrition. We're planning for a 40-team championship. And so the requirement is that you have to participate in a qualifier.
Mhm.
And we are looking for teams to have scoring robots. So something that can at least function on the field, that isn't just going to sit there for each round.
So it's gonna be like yes or no, kind of between
Yeah.
so far at this point. Okay. So that's one thing to motivate the kids.
Yes, definitely budget for that second trip in.
Yeah, especially the kids are, you know, how it is in the village when flying to Anchorage is the biggest motivation.
Yep.
So I have 20 kids came here, including the one that we just lost. But I was just only planning to have one team. So maybe next year we'll increase in size.
Yeah.
And the school district can support us.
Yes. And if you bring 20 kids, we'll put the other 5 to 10 into volunteer roles. We'll make sure everybody has a good time. So
No, I just have one team. And then, yeah, they really are. And these are the kids that are not really, you know, academically great, but willing to do everything just to travel. But they enjoyed building just the basic base so far. And
they'll have fun driving it at competition.
Yeah. So the challenge that I'm having right now is, you see the difference between the, you know, kids here in the village is about the communication issues. I mean, like the speech and communication, that's even the written communication is our issue. So we're still trying to figure it out, making sure that they're not going to be nervous when it comes to judging time or speaking to people. They are so quiet. So
Yeah, Sarah, do you have any advice?
So, I mean, whenever I took in the FLL teams, I mean, we would always compete in Bethel, though. So, I mean, like, as far as that goes, the kids, I mean, they kind of rise to the challenge a lot of the times. Like, they're going to be nervous. There's no way around that. But when they go into that room and they start getting asked questions, you'll have kids that will rise to the challenge. You'll also have kids who will sit there and say nothing. I mean, it is what it is. You do the best you can. I mean, definitely practicing, having kids know different parts or have certain skill sets is definitely helpful. But I don't know. I always feel like, you know, they get there and they just do the best that they can. And you just keep reminding them that, like, you're just doing the best you can. This is our first year. Go in there, see what it's about. Like, I don't know. It just seemed to work somehow. Don't worry about it too much.
yeah, I'm kind of like, oh my God, I got overwhelmed because the first year they never had any idea about CAD. So I myself don't have an idea. So we are teaching ourselves together.
Yep.
So
And you also, like, you don't
YouTube.
need to do it all. So if
Yeah.
they're working in CAD and it's not working and they're not getting it, have them play around with the parts and build and mess around there. And then maybe when they come in, they'll get a little bit more background in CAD. But
hand draw stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can they do that? I mean, can they just hand draw? They doesn't have to be a CAD
Yeah.
thing. You have to be in a.
that's what I told my kids too, because we have a CAD class and I have some kids who have experience, some who don't. And I'm like, if you have experience, use it. If you don't mess with it.
Oh, okay.
Like spend time learning the other stuff because that's the fun part. I mean, to play with the pieces, put things
I'm
together.
playing around
That's
with
the
it
fun part.
right now. The Fusion 360 is like, oh my god, I'm not really. This is not my field.
Yeah, that is a big thing as a new coach is don't try and do everything. You do what you can, and whatever you can is going to be good enough.
Oh, thank you. I felt relieved.
Yes, it is impossible to do everything. Even if you were a veteran coach, it'd be impossible to do everything. You have to pick and choose, and that's something that you do have to teach the kids about, is that you have to pick and choose. What can you do? What's going to be worth our time?
Yeah, sounds good. Because we have issued, I just found out today that our team captain will be going to Anchorage for 9 weeks for our city program for our school district. They're bringing the kids in King Tech for a 9-week program. So basically, he will be out from the team because he won't be able to participate.
Right.
So, happy day today.
Well, find a new replacement. Somebody got to step
somebody
up.
did. I can be a team captain, Mel. I can be a team captain.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Let's see. So I was like,
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely what I realized though is you gotta go with whatever happens and you just do the best you can. As long as the kids are having fun, that is like number one rule. If the kids are having fun and they've learned something,
they
great.
go crazy with the fundraising and building. That's the basic thing. They go fundraising. Oh, we wanted to go, so they always want to do fundraising.
I know, right? Fundraising is for whatever reason fun for them.
They love
Not fun for us at
Not
all.
fun for me because they're like, oh, I have 3 kids at home still waiting for me.
I know, right? To spend all your
Come on,
time
Mel,
in
we can wait till
basketball
12. Like,
tournaments.
my God, I can't wait for you guys till 12. I can't work until 12 o'clock midnight.
I know. That's why I left it.
It's like
I could not do that.
fundraising for them. It's like, no, because everybody's awake. Like, no, not me, not my kids.
Yeah, right.
I think that's a fair time to just say no.
Yeah. Tough.
Thank you so much. It's a huge relief. Like, oh my God, Kat, I have to do Fusion 360.
Just skip it.
Just skip it.
Not worth it.
Oh, thank you.
That's for a later year. When you get up there in years and the kids have already figured out other parts and they've got spare time, you figure it out.
Oh, thank you.
And you'll find the 1 or 2 kids that are really into it, and you can link them up with 1 or 2 of the kids that do it somewhere else, and they can share tutorials and they can figure it out, and then they can come back and teach you. But
Right.
yeah.
No,
Or they
not
can
me.
never teach you. And
Or yeah, you want to talk to Heather Roach in Anchorage. I mean, she's still, I'm pretty sure, doesn't know how to do any of this, but her kids figure it out and she knows where to send them.
That's the key thing as a coach. That's what I've learned is you just know the resources. You know the questions to ask and you know the resources. You don't have to know anything else.
Yeah, but here, like the only
They'll figure it out though. Kids figure it out. And with that component of, that outreach and all the teams posting videos, like to get their name out there, like there's just
thank
so
you
much
for
online.
YouTube. My God, there's a lot of resources. YouTube.
So that's what I said to my kids too. I don't know how to do it. Let's go YouTube it.
I didn't even teach them. I just gave them the manual, how to construct a base, and they did it. When they came back, like,
solid.
Oh, we've done it.
Right? It just somehow works.
Yeah, I did. Oh, thank you. It's a huge relief today.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of overwhelming if I'm gonna do that.
Yep. You just gotta learn. Just roll with it. It's tough.
Okay. Well, anything else, or should we call it a little early?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for staying on and giving Ilona help too, Sarah.
Not a problem. I know I've been there with at least FLL, so I just learned FTC of, whatever. Some teams are going to do a ton of things. Some teams aren't. It's okay. If the kids have fun and learn, that's all it's about.
Oh, Becca, by the
Yeah.
way, were you able to ask Craig?
He is off the grid. I have to assume he's moose hunting. That's where everybody seems to be right now.
It is.
And so I sent him a text, I sent him an email, and hopefully as soon as he's back on the grid, I will get you a field. If I don't hear from him, we'll just order another one and send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone. Wendy, I don't know if you're there, but we're saying bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm still here, just
Okay.
listening in. Yeah. I know I wasn't putting my screen on, but yeah, kind of listening. So cool. Thank you for letting me come in at the end.
All right. We will, we'll see everybody next week.